Hello, beautiful people. I'm Mariquita Solis, and I am a Harmonic Earth Healer, Feminine Empowerment Coach. So, Harmonic Earth Healers, we really want you to reconnect with your core essence of being and connecting with Mother Earth. But that has to start with you loving yourself. And sometimes that can be hard. So, today I'm very excited to welcome my friend Stephanie Henderson and everyone. If you're watching, please give StreamYard permission to use your name and let us know where you're joining from, because Stephanie and I are really going to tackle some of these issues with being a woman in this patriarchal society that we live in. Stephanie is the founder of the Self Care Focus. She's a certified life coach and emotional wellness guide. So, welcome, Stephanie.
Thank you. Thank you, Mariquita. Happy to be here this morning. It's excited about today.
Yes, I'm excited too because I really want to talk about these issues that
hmm
women face and that sometimes they're not even aware of.
hmm
And I'd love to hear your story, Stephanie. As a little girl, did you did you feel confident about yourself? Was it easy for you as a child?
No, it was not easy for me as a child. I don't think that it's funny that you asked this question because I was reading a book and the same similar question was asked. And I don't believe that I was confident as a child because I was always told how to be, how to behave, how to act. So I never really got a chance to be who I wanted to be inside, which was free spirited, goofy, silly, etc. I always had to be a certain way, for my parents, around family, around the public, in school, etc. So because I didn't want to get in trouble. So I don't believe that I ever got the chance to really be. I was always told who to be.
Mm. Well, I lost my audio during some of that. But I did. I think I got the gist of it. Yes, and no, as a child, I was always silenced. Also, and I was
hmm
like, it was like children are not allowed to speak. I mean, like, don't contradict. So what that means is don't give your opinion, and
Yep.
especially if you're a little girl.
Yep. Yeah, you're supposed to be seen and not heard. Your opinion didn't matter. If you had to say so, keep it to yourself. All of those things. And I think it was just the generation, to be honest, because I think that's how they were raised. So I feel like that's because that's how they were raised, that's how they raised us. So I think as generations have gone on, I see that there are a lot of, you know, parents who are giving their children a chance to say so. I mean, it may not go over well, they they may not get their way, but at least their voice is heard.
Yeah, and that's the main thing is that we have to listen and respect, and we don't have to agree with it. And as parents, hold boundaries, but acknowledge and validate. And I don't think I didn't even know what validation was as a child. These are things that are not taught to us.
hmm hmm
These core principles of socialization and being able to function in society. I know that IQ, that intelligence, I mean, that's so heavily respected, but emotional intelligence is just as important, if not more.
hmm I agree. I definitely agree. I don't think, to be honest, emotional intelligence, I did not hear that particular saying until I was well into adulthood. And I do believe that that's something that should be taught to teens because when they're going through, especially girls, I can't because I was once a girl and I'm a woman, so I can't really speak for men, but especially for women, we have so many emotions as teenagers growing up and we don't know what to do with them. So I really feel like having some sort of lesson in emotional intelligence, learning how to express yourself properly, how to understand the emotion you're actually even dealing with, and how to control it would be very advantageous for teenagers growing into adulthood, because we have a lot of adult, children, I like to say, who don't know how to express themselves, um, who say they're adults, but they act like children. So I think that has a lot to do with it, not really understanding their emotions and not being intelligent about them.
Wow, you hit on something very big. Adult children that don't understand their emotions, and
Hmm.
so suppression of emotions as children, and
Hmm.
then not to know. I mean, we have to be able to have relationships. So if we're suppressing our emotions as children, our parents are taking care of us. But then when we're in a relationship with someone else,
Yeah.
we have to make it work. We have to be
Yeah.
respectful of others. So
Hmm.
we're really at a disadvantage if we don't
Yeah.
acknowledge our feelings.
Yep. I agree. Definitely agree.
Yes. And I want to say hi to Cassandra is here and she's watching, and we're talking about the feminine and women and women's issues here, women's voices.
Cassandra, nice to meet you.
Thanks for joining us. Yes. And as a little girl, I was so scared of everything. I was so shy, and my parents did this unintentionally, but I was by always saying, like, instilling fear into me that uh, that a stranger was going to try to kidnap me, right? And I don't think they
Mhm.
meant for me to live in terrified fear or don't talk to strangers, right? Where I just am like,
Yeah.
oh, but that was the memory that I had as a child. When someone smiled at me, I didn't dare smile at them because then they were going to
Yeah.
kidnap
Yeah, the fear of talking to stranger danger, talking to strangers. Don't, if they look at you, don't look at them. Keep walking, all of that stuff. Yeah, the living in fear and not wanting to speak, not wanting to say anything, not wanting to be neighborly because you were taught that, not everybody's your friend. So, yeah.
Right. And then now, as I look back at that and everything you're saying, I mean, that's our voice. That is who we are. And when we're starting out, suppressing and everything and not acknowledging and living in fear when we could, I mean, all of our parents do the best we can, but if they had said, there are people that we need to be careful of. However, here are the tactics to use,
Yes. Yep.
and then that's empowering when we have um, our toolbox ready. As a little girl, I know what to do if someone's going to try to get me or try to take me away, right? I'm not going to just live in fear of it happening, but I'm ready to handle life. I mean, that's so
Yeah.
empowering as a child.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I agree with you. I think if we would have been given those tools, we would have had an opportunity to have our voice as young children, to be able to socialize a little bit more. Like for me, I am an introvert, and I have to say I'm an extroverted introvert, because when I'm in my element, when I'm in around, the right people who energy feels good, then I come alive. But outside of that, I'm always on standby. I'm observing. And I think that comes with what you just said, just being taught to, watch out for people. People don't mean you good. So I'm always like on high alert. Just if I'm in an environment that I'm unfamiliar with, I'm always watching. I'm in high alert until I feel comfortable to kind of like let loose. So I think that's also something that, was deeply embedded into me as a child. And not saying that introvertness comes from, your upbringing, but, just from unpacking and things that I've gone through with therapy, that's what I've uncovered about myself. And I think that, what you said, just that living in fear, like it carries with you into your adulthood. It's like you don't shake that. It's like a snowball effect. It grows and grows and grows. Because as we learn new things, that fear is constantly in the back of our head saying, okay, well, is this a good thing or is it a bad thing? Should we fear this? And I think we should fear this because mom always said, so it's always in the back of our minds.
Yes, and we always have taught that it's too good to be true. Like, what's the
Hmm.
real truth here? this person can't really be wanting to help me. There's got to be something they want. So
Yeah.
we don't, which is a very sad way of looking at things. And
Yeah.
it's very hard for people that are living in this constant state of fear of not
Hmm.
trusting and, 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 and just seeing through this veil. And the veil is of distrust when we can
Yeah.
really, and that's just trust in oneself. I'm
Hmm.
just trusting in myself to be able to choose people that are kind and that are
Hmm.
genuine people, right? And so now, I mean, now for me, I know that I'm able to trust. I'm going to do the best I can. I'm not 100%, but I trust in myself and my judgment to surround myself with a circle of people that are respectful and
Yeah.
kind. And it's so important.
Hmm. That is important to be surrounded by that, because it kind of, it like what I like to call it, fills your joy cup when you're around it, when you're surrounded by good energy, kind, good people. It makes you feel good inside, and you really have to discern that. You really have to get comfortable with um, getting to know people and recognizing that good energy versus the bad energy, and pulling away from that bad energy when you need to, the toxicity.
Right, the toxicity, yes. And when we're living in this culture, sometimes of this energy that is so unlike the sacred feminine, which is really kind and compassionate way of sharing and expressing, but we're in this culture of pushing others over, name calling, and
Yeah.
hatred. Um, how does one even get out of that? How can one stand in their own power when they're living in this and they're being told, well, you can't feel bad for others. You have to call them names to get ahead, and they're idiots if they don't understand, right? You
Hmm.
have to get them to understand. We have to force them to understand. What
Hmm.
what would you say to someone who's like, I don't know any other way to do this?
For me, honestly, I remove myself from those type of people. Like I'm a firm believer in, you attract the energy that you put out. So if someone is telling me specifically that I need to be a mean girl at work, excuse me, or a mean girl in business, then that's just not who I am. At my core, I can't do that. So I remove myself from that person, that energy, because I don't want that rubbing off on me. I don't want anybody, that knows me to see me with someone like that, and then they look at me, because I preach women empowerment. I preach self-care and loving yourself. So if someone is mean like that, I don't associate. And you can't really tell people how to be. You can't really tell people, oh, you shouldn't be this way, you should do this and that. They have to come to that conclusion on their own. And it's been my experience that people who are mean, thinking that they have to name call to get ahead, they have to tear someone down to get ahead. That's something growing on the inside of them that they have to eventually unpack and deal with, because we're born out of kindness. We're made out of God's image. So that's not mean. That's love. So someone who has that on the inside, that's something that they're dealing with. And that's an energy that they have to kind of unpack and kind of figure out for themselves. Why am I being mean? Why do I feel like I have to be mean to get ahead, as opposed to just being kind and helping? Because I mean, you can be kind and helpful and generous and get ahead just as quickly as you can being mean. So that's how I look at it.
No, I really agree. I mean, to keep your energy safe and do
Hmm.
the best you can and step away. And there are times when, well, we all have family and the family might not understand us. Um,
Yeah.
and I have a lot of followers that are activists. And so sometimes there's a lot of fighting. And I think, I mean, sometimes
Hmm.
the best thing is just to remove yourself from the situation. What
Yeah.
would you say,
Yeah.
to someone? Let's say someone's out there at Greenpeace and they're, fighting for the world, and their parents are like, "What are you doing? You're wasting your life." What would you know? Then this person that's struggling inside, what would you say to that person?
To that person that's like, what do you, my thing is to that person that's struggling is go inside. What do you want to do? Like you're always going to have people on the outside telling you do this and do that, you shouldn't do this, or and so on and so forth. Those are outside forces, outside external people who are saying things to you that doesn't necessarily matter. Like you have to go inside. What matters to you? What is it that you want to do? And if you are, you know, an activist and you're fighting for, you know, peace and things of that nature, if that means something to you and that gives you purpose, then go for it. You have to kind of tune out and tune in. That's what I would say.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's very true. And you're tuning into your what's in alignment with your life. And
Yes.
yeah, and that's very important. A lot of people don't know what they're living for, right? They don't know
Yeah.
what's in alignment with their life.
Yeah. They're just kind of following along with what everybody else is doing because they're like, oh, I guess this is what I'm supposed to be doing because everybody else is doing it. So, yeah, let me just go right along. But no, you have to, if it doesn't feel right, you got to ask yourself, why doesn't this feel right for me? Like, what do I need to be doing?
Right.
Yeah.
And then what you're talking about now is feelings. And many times I was just
Mhm.
talking to another lady this morning about feelings and how we don't have time for feelings as women. I don't have time to be sad. I don't have time for this. I have to get
Mhm.
the kids off to school. I don't have time to be angry. And what does that do to us when we don't acknowledge our feelings? I mean, I feel it, saying that, I felt a pain right here in my
Yeah.
side. It's like a knot, which is very interesting, but it's very in alignment with what I'm saying.
Yeah. When you say things like that, you're putting it out to the universe and you're diminishing your value and your self worth as a person. If you're saying, I don't have time for me, I don't have time to do this, I don't have time to feel sad, what you're putting out is that you don't have time for you and the world shouldn't have time for you. That's what you're putting out. Like you have to make time for your feelings. If you're feeling a certain way, I always tell people to sit in those feelings. Feel the sadness, feel the hurt, feel the anger, feel what you're feeling because if you suppress it and push it down, it's only going to fester and it'll blow up in other ways when you're in someone will be like, "What do you mean? I just closed the door. Why are you yelling?" So so you want to just deal with those feelings when you're feeling them and then go from there. So when you are saying you don't have time for yourself, then that breaks my heart because to me, you're saying that I don't value myself. Like I don't see myself as worthy to 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 make time for. So why should someone else make time for me?
Gosh, everything you said is right on because that's what you're sending out to the universe. I'm not
Hmm.
important. And so then you
Yes.
wonder, why do people not think I'm important, right? Because
Yeah.
you're showing them that you're not
Yeah.
important.
Yeah. You're putting it out there.
Right.
It's
And
so
people
true.
don't understand how important self talk is, right?
Uh-huh.
And self criticism. There's always a compassionate way of living. So as human
Hmm.
beings, it's our nature to fall down and fail, right?
Hmm.
But then we have a choice. Do we fail forward? Do we fail quickly? Do we see that as an area of growth, or do we condemn ourselves and
Hmm.
cast just dump on toxicity on ourselves, right? Or
Yes.
the feminine is very kind and compassionate, and that's when we can really call in these elements of
Hmm.
motherhood to ourselves, be our
Hmm.
own mother.
Yeah. Nurture ourselves, right. And it's something that you just said, like the when you talked about the patriarch of the patriarchal culture that we're living in. I feel like that's where all of this masculine energy is coming from, that we have to be strong. We don't have time to feel. We have to keep going. We have to, be mean and tackle this person in order to get ahead. I think that's where that energy is coming from because it's all of that, all of our feminine energy is being overshadowed by that. And when you said that it's in our nature to be mothering, to be nurturing. Like we definitely need to get back to that. And a lot of women down at heart, we really are. That's what we are. We're nurturing. We care, even though we don't want to. We say, "Oh, I don't care. I'm unbothered," but really we are, because that's just who we are. We feel, and it's okay to feel like that, because that we're women. We're supposed to be that way. And don't ever apologize for caring or wanting to make sure someone is okay or wanting to help. That's how we were made. We're made to be helpmates as women.
Right, you're right. We were, and in this toxic patriarchal society that we're living in, we are not up told just we can't cry. We just have to, just be tough, right? And I remember those
Get up.
commercials. You know, we can fry it up in a pan or whatever, and and do this and do that. And I'm a woman, right? And then when is that woman real? I mean, I guess maybe in the Calgon bath, she's getting her bath. But when is the time for her? She can do
Yeah.
everything. We can do it all.
Yep. And we can, because we are women. Our brains are scientifically is a little bit more developed than the male brain. But we can do it all. But do we want to? Do we have to? Do we need to? Those are the questions that we have to ask ourselves. If we have, you know, mates, if we have husbands, boyfriends, significant others who are able to take that load, why not let them? Why not let them and then help them carry it? We don't have to carry it all on our own. It's not necessary. It's okay to be soft. And I know there's the soft girl era, that's going around. Everyone's talking about, oh, I want to live my soft girl life, and I think that is subjective, because what's soft to you may not be soft to me. And I think for me, a soft girl era is being able to sit in my emotions, not having to say, okay, I got to pack this away because I have to take care of the kids. I have to, I don't have time to feel sad about this. I got to keep going. For me, my soft girl era is being able to sit in my feelings, feel them, and know that everything is going to be okay tomorrow. But today, I'm sitting in my feelings, and I'm, dealing with what I'm dealing with. And I feel like that's okay for women to do that.
Yes, we have to do that. And why is it so hard for women to ask for help?
Oh gosh. That's
Give us the answer.
oh my gosh. Like you just opened up Pandora's box with that one. I have so many answers for that. I think it stems from childhood. Like you were, told to do, figure it out. Like I was a latchkey kid. So I always had to, I was home for at least about an hour, 2 hours before my mom got home. So I had to figure out, opening up the door, getting in the house, making sure I don't open the door for nobody else if somebody knocks on the door, fixing myself a snack. Like I feel like as a child you had to figure it out on your own. And I'm like a 70s, 70s born, so I'm generation X, and so a lot of us were latchkey kids. We had to figure it out on our own, and we were afraid to ask for help because our parents would say things like, well, I'm not going to be home, so you're going to have to figure it out. I'm not going to be there, so you have to figure it out. So that was engraved in us, to figure it out on your own and don't ask for help. So going back to what we talked about earlier, that goes into adulthood. Like you don't want to ask for help. Like I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out on my own. I don't want to ask for help because I don't want anyone to think I'm weak, that I don't know what I'm doing, that, I'm a woman. So, I'm helpless. So oh my goodness. Yeah, this is a whole different blog.
I know, no, you're right. And then that brings into shame. I can't be
Yeah.
weak because I'm going to be ashamed that I'm weak, and I can't ask for help because, I should be able to do it. There comes judgment. I mean, there's so many elements here. Judgment
Yeah.
thrown on ourselves, and I'm
Yeah.
ashamed that I couldn't do it by myself.
Hmm. And I should have known how to do it. And then comparison, because then you start looking at other women who are doing it by themselves. And then you're like, here I am. I don't know how to do it. I need to ask for help. I should be, at this person's level because they're doing it. And so then you start to feel ashamed. You start to feel unworthy. So yeah, that's a whole different topic there, that learning to ask for help. But then it goes back to, it's okay if you need help. It's okay if you need help. You shouldn't think of yourself any less than if you do need help, if you don't understand something, because that's vulnerability, and vulnerability is a strong trait to have, because you're opening yourself up to judgment, you're opening yourself up to ridicule, but you're also saying to yourself that I need to get stronger in this area, so I'm going to ask for the help I need so that I can be stronger. So it's a double-edged sword. But for me, the last couple of years, learning to ask for help has been hard, but it's getting a little bit easier, because once I do ask for that help, it's like a weight is taken off my shoulder. Like, oh, I don't have to carry this anymore. Like, finally, I have, like a village that can help me do this, or, whatever. So I think that getting to the point of learning that it's okay to ask for help is the hardest hurdle.
Yes,
Yeah.
you're right, and that's, you've got to humble yourself and know. I mean, we are babies. We, of course, we were all born as babies, and we
Yeah.
all were helped. If we didn't have the help as a baby, and this is part of life, we wouldn't be
Hmm.
alive. So it's a
Hmm.
natural part of life, and somehow we step away from it. So
Yeah. Yep. I agree. As time goes on, we get taught by outside forces, we get taught by society, and we start to learn behaviors that we shouldn't, that are not conducive to our well-being. And when we get to the age where we have to unlearn those behaviors, and that's hard because that's what we've done all our lives. It's like bad
right,
habits are formed. Now we have to unlearn those habits, and it's hard.
yeah, it is hard. And when you're pretending to be someone you're not, I'm pretending everything's okay when it's not okay.
Hmm.
Again, you're not valuing yourself and acknowledging, and you're not,
Hmm.
and it's very hard on your heart and and
Yeah.
everything inside of you, your soul. It's hurting.
Yeah, because the real you wants to get out. Who you were born to be wants to get out. It wants to be. It wants you to acknowledge it. So when you're walking around pretending to be this person, and being strong and not who you were made to be, it it again, it devalues who you are as a person. And then most people can see right through the act, the mask that you're wearing. They can see right through it. And some people want to help, and then others will just simply feel sorry for you. So you do have to just be who you are. Be you. If you need help, ask for help. It's okay.
Right. Yeah. Just start. Yeah. Just start small. Ask for. I
Yeah.
mean, if it's too much to ask for a big thing, just practice asking, because practice. It always.
Yep.
Yeah. And that's the way to start.
Yep.
So I have Cassandra saying, I had a friend for 15 years. She gave me presents and everything I needed. Then came COVID. Her husband got it. She lied to me, I guess, and called me to them to regulate the TV after I knew. I maybe Cassandra got COVID because her friend lied to her. Is what I think.
Yeah. And call me to them to regulate TV after I knew end of friendship. So maybe her husband got COVID, and instead of instead of your friend telling you that her husband had COVID, she lied and had you come to the house anyway. Is that what you're saying? I think that's what she's saying.
I think that's what she's saying, and
Yeah.
that really hurts a friendship.
Yeah, because at that time, when COVID was like a serious, well, it's still serious, but when it first appeared, like that was serious. That's like, because people really were dying. They were getting deathly sick and in hospitals. So to for something like that to not tell you and then have you come over there to, potentially risk you getting it. She said the hospital does not know what he has, but they knew. Yeah,
Oh,
even I agree. Even so, she should have given you the choice to say it may be COVID, it may not be, we're not sure, and given you the choice to say, can you come over to help? And if not, I understand. But to lie, that that's hurtful.
yes, and sometimes people don't realize the extent of lies and
Hmm.
I mean, a lot of times, not a lot of times, but sometimes that people will minimize it and say, oh, well, get over it quickly, right? But the
Right.
damage that does is it's tremendous.
Yeah. It's like, and they say, like, we talk about breakups when we talk about like romantic relationships, but friend breakups hurt just as worse too. Because even though it's not a romantic relationship, you still shared time with that friend. You shared moments and you shared memories. You shared experiences. So that's just as important. So when you and that friend, are no longer, or the friendship drifts, that hurts just as worse, because now you have to mourn the loss of a relationship, times that you had with them. I mean, that friend, you may call that friend, for various reasons. Now, because the friendship is over, you no longer can call that person. So it does hurt when you have to end a friendship just as much. And like you said, people are like, oh, it's just a friend. Yeah, it's just a friend, but you put in time with that friend.
Yeah, you do, and it's hard when you lose somebody you care about. And she's saying
Hmm.
she had to go to the hospital for her heart, and this makes it even worse. And they asked me if I was in contact with COVID
Wow.
people, but she didn't know, so she said no. So they didn't take the necessary protection and measures for them. So what I see here is Cassandra has I mean, she has a great moral stance. She has very, very good high morals. So that
Hmm.
upsets her as well that she, wasn't able to notify others to take the precautions because she hadn't been notified. So that just shows her character. So thank you, Cassandra.
Yeah. And some people don't have that moral compass. It's selfish of them because they're only thinking about themselves. So I commend you for actually even sharing that, because thankfully you're okay, and I'm hoping that the hospital staff are also okay that you went to. But it shows that how far this disease has gone and why it traveled so quickly the way it did, because people aren't they're not honest in saying what the issues are, how they're feeling, and who they've been in contact with, um, for selfish reasons, because they want to get treated, but they don't want the shame of yes, I had COVID, because that was like a thing. Then people were ashamed to say that they had it, like it was like a you know cooties or something. They didn't want to say I have COVID. But it could save a life, just to share, because you don't know what someone else's health issues are. So I'm glad you're okay, Cassandra.
Yeah, and it sounds like this friendship wasn't. I mean, gosh, it sounds like this is very sad. She said, then I told it to another friend and she ridiculed me. Now she got the COVID recently. That's very sad. And I know
Yeah.
Cassandra has a beautiful heart and she's doing everything she can to be a really great leader of this world and to share her beliefs. And so,
Hmm.
just always know how beautiful you are, Cassandra.
Hmm. Yeah.
Well, one thing I'd like to ask you, Stephanie, is for men in this culture of this
Hmm.
toxic patriarchal energy, the toxic, because is the beautiful patriarchal energy, the beautiful masculine energy, which is the protector and the kind heart and the leader. But what's it like for a man to not be able to express his emotions, and how does that play out in relationships?
That's a great question. My husband and I talk about that. We've had conversations about that, about men not being able to express themselves, and it's bad in relationships. It's bad in the culture for men to always have to be that strong one, always have to be that one that is the protector. But they too have emotions. They too have sadness that happens within them. They have anger, they have disappointment that they have to deal with. But society says that you still have to be strong. You're not allowed to cry. But it's okay for men to cry. I actually think it's a strong trait for a man to cry because it's showing that they have feelings, that they care. Um, now if you're blubbering, if you're like, always crying, then that's something else. But I think it's okay for men to express themselves and express their feelings and have those emotions because they're human too. They're male, but they're still human too. So, and they still have those feelings. None of that, like, if you strip, the body away, we have the same hearts, we have the same body parts. So it's like it's okay for them to have those emotions and express them.
Right. And you want some sort of balance. You don't want someone who's just crying all the time and someone who doesn't cry at all. There needs to be a balance where you recognize your
Yes.
feelings and you allow them. And tears, those are healing. So when I
Mhm.
know that many times I've been like, don't cry. But I know physically that the release of tears helps me heal. I mean, it's a physical healing sensation in my body. So I want the
Yeah.
tears to flow.
Yeah, because you can't hold it in. You can't hold it in. That's just the body expressing itself. Like you said, it's a release. Whether it be joy, sadness, it's a release. So
Right.
it's okay
It's
to cry.
interesting because the studies, when they look at the tears from like onions crying, they're different chemistry than the tears from the emotional tears.
Really? That's interesting. I'm gonna have to look that up. That's really interesting. Cool. I love
Yeah,
I love little facts like this.
I know. Yeah, it is fascinating, um, and just to learn more about our bodies. I mean, our
Mhm.
bodies. If we hold those emotions in, we get sick. I mean, we
Yep.
physically get sick. We develop ulcers. We have headaches, and
Yes. Yes. It transforms in our bodies. Like they talk about stress, stress, can, get into our bodies and cause all types of ailments, but unresolved emotions can too. So I definitely agree that we have to release. That's why I'm always an advocate of feeling those feelings. Don't suppress anything. Don't just, if you're angry, be angry, go for a walk to get it out, but don't try to pretend like you're not. Like, get whatever you're feeling, get it out, because if you keep it in your body and let it fester, it'll manifest in different ways, like you said, headaches, backaches, ulcers, you know neck neck problems, all types of stuff. So yeah, get it out.
right. And then see what it's telling you because you're mad and you're angry for a reason. Explore it. Like,
Mhm.
why am I angry? What is this saying to me?
Yeah, why am I triggered by this? Like, why did this bother me so bad? And then, journal it out. I'm a big believer in journaling. I have tons of, notebooks everywhere, but journal those feelings out. Like, why am I feeling this way? Where did this come from? You'd be surprised, what comes out when you just kind of like pour out your emotions on paper. Like, the one time, like a couple years ago, back in 2000 2012 it was, I kept waking up in the middle of the night, 3 o'clock in the morning, without fail. It did not matter. It was any time between 3:04 and 3:08. I would always wake up in the morning. And I posted on Facebook one day and I was just like, oh my God, I wish I could just sleep. So my auntie had sent me a message and she's like, that's the bewitching hour. And I'm like, what is that? What are you talking about? And she's like, that means that when you wake up during that time, God is trying to talk to you. He can't get to you anytime during the day because you're busy. So he's going to wake you up while you're sleeping. And that normally is during that time. So, I'm like, well, I wish he'd stop because I want to sleep. I wish he'd say what he's trying to tell me because I want to sleep. So she said, just keep a notebook by your bed and whatever comes to mind, just write it. So I did that. So from January until September of that year, I was waking up at that time. So 9 months. And when I went back to my journal to figure out, okay, because I would write everything and everything was coming out. And it would just be, sometimes it would just be colors, sometimes it would just be random stuff, or it would be song lyrics just in my head just to get it out so I can go back to sleep. And as soon as I would do that, I would literally fall right back to sleep. I would be up for like maybe 2 minutes. I write whatever I was thinking about and go back to sleep. So after that 9 months, when I went back and looked at what I was writing, I had created an entire girls empowerment program. It was called Be Candy Coated. So all of the things that I needed to mentor these girls was in my writings, because I wrote about me growing up. I wrote about, my voice, being, confident in myself. I wrote about just so many things, and it was like the platform and the foundation of that mentoring program. And I tell the story because it literally took 9 months for it to come out. So I birthed the baby. I birthed the baby.
That's beautiful. Tell us more about your work with women, and that's how we connected. And I really
Yes.
felt I resonated with you because we're really on the same page, wanting
Yeah.
to help women stand in their power and see how beautiful they are.
Yes. Yes. So that's kind of like where um it started with me, like reaching out and wanting to help others. Because prior to that, I had an online handbag boutique where I sold handbags online. And this was like really when being online was like a new thing. And for me, it was perfect because I'm an introvert. I don't have to talk to anyone. I don't have to sell to anyone. I could just put the bag on Twitter, show it, and then, be done. So it was perfect for me. But what I would do in each of the bags, I would write like a little card, like a quote or something motivational in the card. So when I shipped it off, they would get, their purse and then something motivational to inspire them, to empower them. So, so from that, I was thinking like I knew something more was coming from that because I actually loved doing that part of it. It got to the point where I hated like going to the vendors to get the bags, but I love shipping them off and writing the notes. So I'm like, I need to do something else with that. But that's kind of where it all started. And then I did the empowerment program where I mentored the girls, teen girls, and young girls from age 9 up to 16. And they were split off. The younger girls, we did like a reading program, and while we read the books, it was kind of like mentoring them, helping them to see the leadership characters, in those books. And then the teen girls, we had like an open forum. We would have a workshop every week, and it would be a topic, but it was like an open forum to allow them a voice to say what they wanted to say that they couldn't say in front of their parents or teachers. But with myself and my co-partner, we allowed them to just express themselves. And of course, we gathered them in and told them right from wrong, but it was an opportunity to hear what they had to say. And from there it got to where the parents of the girls, they would come to me and say like, I see a difference in her. And then they would ask me questions like, how do I do XYZ? How do I do that? And so I would start, mentoring and talking and coaching to them. And so from there, I'm like, well, maybe I'm meant to be a coach, because it just came kind of natural to me. So I pursued my life coach certification. And that's how I started, coaching women to, live confidently, chase after their purpose, and just go after their dreams and what they wanted to do. And how we met is I moved here to Atlanta, Georgia in 2018. And prior to that, I was giving of myself. Like I was coaching the women, I was still mentoring the girls. And I was always giving, that I wasn't pouring back into my own cup. And, just like we talked about earlier, that you didn't have time, that was my mindset. I don't have time to take care of my own needs because this woman that I'm coaching, she's going through a hard time, so I need to be there for her. I don't have time because I have my workshop with the girls and they're depending on me. Everyone else was depending on me, but I had no one that I could depend on. So I was so empty that I kind of spiraled. I had a really bad anxiety attack, and it just kind of spiraled from there. And I had to choose me or the other people. And I chose me. And that was the hardest thing I can do. Oh my God, that was so hard. Because I'm like, I'm shutting down, my coaching practice. I'm shutting down the mentoring. Like these girls need me. These women need me. But something in my head was like, but you need you, and you need to pour back into your cup. Because like at that point I had a cracked cup. I didn't even have a cup. I was just pulling from the air and giving. So when I moved here to Atlanta, I took that time to just kind of just get me back, my femininity, my, who was I, who was Stephanie, like, I spent so much time helping other women find themselves. And it's like, okay, well, what is it that I really want? What is it that I'm trying to do? And of course, I navigated back to, self-love and pouring back into yourself. So I the natural tendency in me is to help others. So, I kind of prayed about it, and it's like I really want to get back into coaching, but I have to do it in a way that it's not affecting me and my well-being, but I'm also a help to others. So what I started doing was I started Girl Focus on You, which is a community-based nonprofit that I started in 2022. And it's just that's just what it is. It's a community of women who are focused on themselves, focused on their healing, focused on their self-care, and just putting themselves first so that they can fill their cup so that they can continue to help others. And I emphasize putting yourself first because I went through putting everyone else first and me last. So I emphasize the putting yourself first because we still want to help. We still want to be those caretakers. We still want to be those nurturers. But in order to do that, you have to take care of you first. You have to take care of your needs, your wants, and the things that bring you joy so that you can in turn share that joy with others. So, and how we met is I found a space. It's called the Self-Care Focus, where the Girl Focus on You community meet. We meet once a month at our self-care help meeting, and I host workshops there. So that space is and it's a safe space. It's non-judgmental where you can just come and just be you. You can let your hair down. Everything that you're going through, you can leave it on the floor and know that you're in a safe space, that the women there are there to support you, to guide you, and to help you on your journey. So how we met is, in our Facebook group, Women of Cobb County Business. I shared who I was and what I was doing, and you reached out, and we've been connected ever since. Because like you said, our energies align. We both want the same things. Our natural inclination is to help others and to just be kind and loving. So I, gravitated to your energy, and you the same.
Very, very true. I love your story, and I think we're always on a journey. We might think, oh, well, I finally made it, but so I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I can really resonate with what you're saying because I was
Yeah.
really coaching vegans a lot, and really kind of in that vegan journey of coaching. I really started to expand into Mother Earth and really wanted to like really connect people back, but always as a feminine empowerment coach. That was always in the background, that I can
Yeah.
never get away from. That's my true calling. But in your journaling, offering these techniques to help, like you were saying,
Mm-hmm.
journaling really helps you acknowledging your feelings, as going outside and putting your feet on the bare ground, connecting with Mother Earth, and
Mm-hmm.
just reaching up and saying thank you to the sun who shines every day for us. This
Yes.
is just innate wisdom. I mean, right around us, the sun and the droplets of rain that are nourishing us. We don't beg them to do that. they We might beg people, please help us, but they're helping us all the time.
Yep, all the time. It's out there. It's a natural energy booster. Being outside in nature. It's funny. I just shared something on my Instagram talking about that. How being outside in nature truly helps you to boost your serotonin levels. And so, if you're feeling sad or depressed, get outside in the sun, and just like you said, just like like welcome it, the air, breathe it in. It actually does something to boost your serotonin, and it makes you feel good. It makes you
It
feel
really
good.
does. Well, Cassandra's saying she has to leave in order to feed her 8 cats. Thank you both, Grace.
Oh, you're going to be busy, Cassandra.
Thanks for your vulnerability and courage, Cassandra.
Yeah. Thank you for joining. It was great to meet you and talk to you.
So sweet. She's very sweet, and I love these conversations because you don't know who they might resonate with. They're
Yep.
you just don't ever know. Even the other day, I
Yep.
was feeling down. It was a hard 10 minutes, whatever you want to call it, and I was driving, and this person on the street just gave me the tiniest little smile, and I thought, and I waved, and it was very quick because he was walking by. It was a quick wave, and it might have seemed dismissive, but it wasn't. It was just fast. But that person didn't realize. He didn't realize how much that tiny little smile meant to me. So
Hmm.
we don't know who we're touching, and he'll never know.
Yep.
We don't know who we're
Yep.
touching here.
Yep. And what that kind gesture could do for you or to, anyone that we come across. Like you said, we just don't know. And sometimes just by saying hello to someone and asking how they're doing saves a life, literally. So we definitely, just kind, it never hurts to be kind. It takes no energy at all to be kind. It takes even more energy to be mean than it is to just be kind. Hmm.
Right. And it ripples out.
Hmm.
Everything we do affects everything in the universe. So,
Yes.
I mean, once we really get that we're connected to everything, there is no other, like they say, and it seems so trite to say that, but it's true. There is
Yeah.
no other. And once we feel that and live that in our hearts,
Hmm.
and I try to do that every day, to get more. It's a journey. We're on a journey there to see
Hmm.
this and to be kind to ourselves on that journey. But it heals us when we realize that we're all the same
Yeah. Yep. I agree. I agree.
because we have
This
to have
was so good.
compassion. Yeah,
Yeah, this
it is.
this is such a good conversation, and it's so needed. It's so needed.
It's very needed. And now, as we wrap up, I'd love for you to make sure that people can know where to find you. And I know that you are very close to me in the Atlanta area. So
Yes.
we will definitely be meeting up in person soon.
Yes.
But where
Yes,
can
we
everyone
do.
find you?
Well, they can find me in person at the Self Care Focus Studio, which is located at 119 Powers Ferry Road in Marietta, Suite 2014. I've got a couple of workshops that are coming up this month that you are welcome to come on and join us in. One in particular, we're going to be talking about boundaries. The one at the end of the month, we're talking about limiting beliefs and how to recognize and how to work through them. And then I have an art therapy workshop where we're going to be making canvas art, that'll be fun. That'll be really fun. So you can find me there in person, online, on Instagram. You can find me at the Self Care Focus and at girl_focus on you. So I'm there. And then on Facebook, you can find me at the Self Care Focus. So I'm on Facebook and Instagram. And yeah, so I look forward to connecting with a lot of you and seeing and meeting some of you. And Mariquita, yes, we have to get together and meet soon face to face so that I can give you a big old hug because I'm a hugger.
That
And we
sounds
can
lovely.
continue, yeah, we can continue connecting and getting to know each other.
Definitely. And if you're watching, please hit subscribe, y'all, because I would love the follows. We're actually having a sound journey this weekend, at Organic Living and Wellness on Roswell Road, 2 p.m. on Sunday. If you're in the Atlanta area and you want to be on the mailing list for this, just send me a message. We also are doing one at the lake, not this Sunday, but the next. So we'll be having our sound journey, and you might want to be in your little, just swimming or in a raft or in a little tube and just listening to the ocean drum, the rain stick, the singing bowls. It's going to be a beautiful experience.
Oh,
So
nice. That sounds amazing. Oh, yeah. I
yeah.
would like information on that. You said it's next Sunday?
So that the lake one is next Sunday, and we will have one at Organic Living and Wellness. It's going to be just there. I mean,
Mhm,
not at the lake, in the office there. It's going to be beautiful.
mhm.
It's at 2 p.m. And so I'll give you all that. I'll put the links down here. So
Okay, great. Yeah, that sounds amazing.
all right. Well, thanks everyone for joining. If you're watching on the replay, please reach out to us. We're here to help you. And thank you, Stephanie. And I'll be seeing you soon in person.
Yes, see you soon. Thank you so much for having me. And thanks everyone for joining.
Thanks, everybody.